welcome to a new episode of the Diaries of Everything Ching. As always, make sure and have your beverage. You know, I do not discriminate whether it is hot, warm, or cold. Okay, guys, so being honest with you guys, this is all very random. I'm watching a video and a topic came up, and the topic is basically on the scale of 1 to 10, how good are you at having difficult conversations? And I'm watching the video, I'm listening to the commentary, and I'm sitting here having like side conversations with myself. And I'm like, bro, why have a side conversation with myself if I can just throw it on the pod real quick? So here I am. So basically, in the video that I'm watching, there was like a consistent pattern of answers, including, well, it depends on the situation, right? So then eventually one of the guys was just like, okay, let's just make it the worst possible scenario because it'll always depend on the scenario. And so I was saying like for myself, thinking about the worst possible scenario, regardless of what that is, I feel like I would be like a 5.5, 6 out of 10. But if it's a conversation where, the topic is not as bad, then I can be anywhere from like um, a 7. A 7, 7.5, depending on the conversation. But I feel like not only does the subject matter, but I also think timing. I think timing has a really big factor. For me, I'm an over communicator, but when it comes to difficult conversations, I think that those conversations are better planned. Um, so, like, if you have an issue with somebody and you want to talk to them, and it's just like, okay, well, let's meet up for 7 o'clock at this and this place, or hey, I'm gonna call you at such and such time, so at least that person can like mentally prepare themselves. I know a lot of people, me, depending on the situation, like if I have like multiple things to address, I would like write everything down. Like, okay, this is my time because obviously this is a situation where it's like you're trying to better your relationship with the person, right? So, I'm a person, I will write everything down that I want to talk about, like all my talking points. Obviously, I won't create a script or anything, but like definitely talking points, things I want to address, um, a little brief on how it makes me feel, just so that I can kind of stick to it because I'm known for kind of going over and above when it comes to certain topics, especially if it affects me a little bit more than the others. So just like little brief talking points, just so that you're kind of tackling the issue that matters and you're not kind of like diving into other things that can potentially derail the conversation. So like that's something that I like to do. But I think the reason, I feel like first of all, like we're always learning. And one of my biggest downfalls is just like learning how to speak in other people's communication languages and understanding that not everybody communicates the way that I do. And so that's definitely a continued progress. That's something that you continue to learn as you communicate with different people in your life. And so that's just kind of something that I do. But I think that when the topics are more sporadic, it can get out of control because you don't have time to process the conversation. So, to some people, whatever topic comes up, so like I feel like something has to happen to trigger that hard conversation. More times, like when it's kind of planned, it's like, okay, like the point of us having this discussion is because we want to make things better. But I feel like when a discussion is kind of triggered from something that happens, like an event, like maybe somebody did something to someone else or made them feel a certain way, then it's kind of like, you made me feel this way. Why would you do this? This is what you did. And then that kind of segues into, and I have this issue with you and I have that issue with you. And it just goes on and on and on. So then to that other person, it just feels like you're attacking them. And I promise nothing comes good from that because it's less about I'm addressing you because these things are hurting me and I want you to fix them so we can get better. From that angle, it looks very like you're hurting me. You hurt me in that moment and you've been hurting me. So I'm going to make sure you understand that you're hurting me. And now I'm mad. So, like, F you because you keep hurting me. And I'm just so sick of you hurting me. And this is how you keep doing it. And so now the other person can't even receive that you're telling me something because you want me to fix it so that we can flourish. In that moment, you don't receive it like that. In that moment, you receive it as, oh, so I'm just like the worst person in the world. Like, if I'm this bad and I'm this horrible to you, then why do you even still talk to me? Why do you still have me around? Why don't we just go our separate ways? And then it becomes a bigger issue than it needs to be. So for me personally, I don't like to have hard conversations sporadically because obviously those are arguments and there's nothing progressive about that. But when you have like planned, hey, we're going to sit down, we're going to talk about this, and this is the understanding. Not to say that it goes well every time, because even those can go left, but I think that there's a better control from both parties to tackle that issue, to make having those difficult conversations even easier. So, like, considering all of that, I mean, we're always growing, but that's partially how I view dealing with difficult situations. And of course, things do happen and things do come up. And sometimes, you have situations that happen and just kind of breaks the camel's back, and or it's just kind of like a wake up call for the relationship or even yourself, where you start to, recognize patterns in these different conversations. So, there's a lot of different factors that um that kind of apply here, but it's just about like, how is these conversations being enforced and how are they being handled, and kind of like what it looks like for after the conversation. Because I feel like if that doesn't go well, it kind of makes it difficult for people to want to continue to have difficult conversations, because they always expect it to end up how their last or previous experience have been. So I just feel like it's more about being intentional with the conversation and intentional with the message you're trying to convey in that conversation. Sometimes you can't put every single issue in one conversation. Sometimes it takes a few. So you just kind of tackle whichever ones you feel like is the most important. But that's personally my opinion on it. I would really, really, really love to hear your opinions. How do you guys tackle difficult conversations? If you had to rate yourself out of 10, what would you give yourself having difficult conversations? Think of like the worst possible scenario and just having to have a hard conversation. How would you rate yourself from 1 to 10? Why would you rate yourself that? And are you doing anything to kind of improve your ability, or is it good enough for you? Let me know in the comments and we are going to chop it up. But until then, thank you so much for tuning in, and cheers to a new episode.